Integrating with your ERP is oftentimes a massive piece of your efficient ServiceMax field service solution, making that accurate and timely, actionable data available when and where your field service team needs it. Hi, I'm Aaron Meiswinkle, Director of Architecture here at ServiceMax. So today we'll be talking about the business processes along with common integration patterns and practices for integrating ERP with your ServiceMax field service solution. Because ServiceMax is an end-to-end solution for field service in the enterprise, we focused on how field service processes can and really should interact with enterprise resource planning. We want to create cohesion between ServiceMax field service focused processes, so those that are supporting both operations and the folks in the field, along with supply chain management, your ERP, things like inventory management, financial accounting modules, and the like. And so whether you're running SAP, Oracle EBS, Dynamics, or there's a bunch of others in the ecosystem, ServiceMax has the experience and expertise to help guide you to an integrated solution. And so we also find that our clients are rapidly evolving their approach to ERP, and as such, we oftentimes advise on federated architectures or thoughtfully planned phases that take technology and business change management into consideration. And that can take you from your on-premise ERP to the cloud without creating unnecessary technical debt related to moving away from your old ERP. Taking a step back, it's first important to discuss what ServiceMax is and what it isn't. As an end-to-end field service solution, ServiceMax carries all the processes from the sale of a service in the form of a preventative maintenance contract, an inspection, or a warranty contract, along with a myriad of other unique variances in the way our clients contract for their services, clear through to the pro forma invoice. This includes, of course, the contract itself, how the contract affects planning and dispatch, along with applying the terms of a contract and the way that it controls and affects the actual field work itself. Terms of that contract can also dictate pricing and how you invoice for the work that's been performed. So they're kind of bookends, so to say, between sales and finance. And as you might now guess, the ERP finance module then becomes a really common integration point. If we then zoom into ServiceMax itself, we may want to integrate information and functions from ERP that streamline certain processes with the broader enterprise in mind. These scenarios often include things like pricing, for instance. So when an enterprise has a highly complex pricing model, and clues for this in your ERP are the existence of a services pricing team or a parts pricing team, or your organization is invested in a really complex pricing engine within your ERP, we may shift part or all of that ServiceMax service and parts capability to an ERP integrated solution. Inventory is another one. So organizations with sophisticated supply chain and inventory management needs require dedicated ERP modules for this purpose. And again, we'd expect an ERP and ServiceMax integrated solution. This also includes installed product. While the installed product and its bill of materials is generally managed and mastered in ServiceMax, we oftentimes source that data that defines what was sold or what was actually delivered as materials from the ERP itself. So each of these integrations can amplify the value of your ServiceMax solution, while also creating a much richer insight into field service operations for your ERP users. Those colleagues that are focused on ordering parts, they're focused on things like distributing those parts appropriately, improving turns on parts inventory. And also your colleagues in finance, tightening the time from work and parts consumption to cash, and also increasing the accuracy through that integration for the data that finance receives. Specific patterns, practices, and architecture for integrating your ERP with ServiceMax is, as you'd expect, and can be unique depending on your ERP and the customizations you've made to your ERP. ServiceMax provides industry standard methods with RESTful, SOAP, and streaming capability. With ERP solutions like SAP and Oracle EBS, many of our clients benefit from an integration platform architecture. And so with SAP, oftentimes when we're integrating, we're talking about things like ABAPs or PI or iDocs for more bulk type transforms between system to system. And then if we talk about EBS, you're usually after a more just service-oriented architecture model. EBS also, of course, has APIs. And even sometimes we're using database views or replicated data out of your EBS solution to integrate with ServiceMax. So when integrating with your ERP, there's some really common integration process scenarios that we can talk about. If we think about it from a data perspective, oftentimes customer, location, and contact are really common integrations. And these are oftentimes taking a more batch type integration methodology. There's also some data modeling to be done here. So if we think about Oracle EBS or SAP or, again, any other ERP you might like to mention, they all have a unique way in which they're modeling customer. And so oftentimes there is transformation and some data modeling that needs to occur to understand how those hierarchical structures, how the relationships should be represented to best support field service, and also meld and mesh with the way that you think about your customers from a sales perspective, and provide an ability to accurately bill against those customers still within your ERP. So the interconnectedness between the two is critical, but we also want to ensure that we have a data model in your ERP, which is already existing for your customers, reflected in a way within ServiceMax that best supports field service operations. Another set of scenarios when we think about from a data perspective how and what to integrate with your ERP and ServiceMax, we can think about product, inventory, and price as well. And while these are still dimensional pieces of data, we oftentimes take a more real-time approach with these. The reason being is, as we discussed earlier, you might in your ERP have really complex pricing rules. You've got critical up-to-date information about actual inventory and where that inventory is located. So it's important for us to have things like stocking location, the relationship of inventory at that stocking location, and the ability to quote-unquote ask for a price, or oftentimes you might be familiar with processes like get price from your ERP. So those types of interactions are very common. And as you can imagine, as part of the field service operations, both on the dispatch side, as we're forming what a work order looks like, what products might need to be involved, what their inventory is and their time to delivery. We don't want to get the truck there before the parts are there. And also the price, so an ability to ensure that we've got accurate pricing applied for those parts, and sometimes services as well, if those are mastered in ERP. We also want to ensure that we're doing this in a way that's aligned with finance. So we want to do everything in a way that's sourced from and mastered in ERP, such that when we send that information back to the ERP, it all aligns perfectly between the ServiceMax pro forma invoice and the actual invoice that's aggregated and goes to your customer. Thanks for joining to learn more about integrating your ERP with ServiceMax. And also be on the lookout for more Maxpert videos. For more information, go to servicemax.com.